On a quiet stretch of Pacific coastline, something subtle but seismic is happening. Dry docks are being reshaped, cabling, conduits, and missile tubes are appearing where none existed before. The U.S. Navy is transforming Hawaii from a logistics way station into a forward strike hub for the next era of warfare, an era defined by hypersonic speed. It sounds abstract until you realize what that means. The Pacific is about to shrink, and the time between warning and impact will fall from hours to minutes. For more than 80 years, aircraft carriers have been the symbols of American sea power, floating cities that carried entire air forces on their decks. But the ocean has changed. Sensors, satellites, and long-range missiles have made those giants more visible and more vulnerable. The Pentagon's answer isn't to abandon them outright. It's to build something that can strike faster, hide deeper, and launch farther. That something is taking shape in Hawaii. Why Hawaii? Because geography is destiny. From Pearl Harbor, the Navy can reach west across 4,000 miles of ocean to the first island chain faster than from any continental port. It sits inside the logistics triangle between California, Japan, and Guam, a midway fortress with existing infrastructure, deep water, and layered air defenses. Turning it into a hypersonic hub means U.S. forces can surge into the Pacific without telegraphing every move. The ships may stay home-ported there, but their missiles will reach into contested seas. The weapon behind the transformation is the Navy's Conventional Prompt Strike System, CPS. Think of it as a glider riding the edge of the atmosphere at more than Mach 5. Launched vertically from a destroyer or submarine, it arcs high, then dives toward its target at speeds no defense system can currently match. Unlike ballistic missiles, it can maneuver in flight, weaving unpredictably until the last seconds. One launch can cross 1,500 miles in less than 15 minutes. In that window, there is no time for diplomacy, no time for guesswork, only reaction. The Navy plans to install these weapons first on Zumwalt-class destroyers, those stealth-angled ships once written off as expensive experiments. Their wide hulls are perfect for housing large missile tubes. Next will come the Virginia-class submarines, fitted with new payload modules capable of carrying hypersonic rounds underwater. By the early 2030s, several of these vessels will be home-ported in Hawaii. Each can fire salvos that reach deep into the Western Pacific without ever leaving American waters. That changes everything about how the United States projects power. Step back and picture the strategic map. For decades, American carriers operated from Japan, Guam, and the South China Sea, visible symbols of commitment. They were political as much as military. Deterrence by presence. Hypersonic ships rewrite that grammar. Deterrence by potential replaces deterrence by visibility. You won't always see the threat, but you'll know it's close enough to matter. And in modern deterrence theory, uncertainty is its own weapon. This move also alters alliance dynamics. Japan and Australia have both signed on to cooperative hypersonic programs. A U.S. hub in Hawaii becomes the western anchor of that network, with Japan's launch capabilities to the west and Australia's to the south. Together, they form a triangle of reach covering most of the Indo-Pacific. China and Russia will read that triangle as containment. The United States calls it reassurance. Either way, it reshapes the board. But every advantage invites a counter. Beijing's planners will study this new hub and plot accordingly. Expect more surveillance flights over the Central Pacific, more long-range drone operations, and perhaps even satellite constellations focused on Hawaii's waters. If you can spot the launcher early, you can plan to neutralize it before it fires. The countermoves have already begun. China testing its own hypersonic gliders, fielding anti-satellite lasers, and hardening its coastal radar network. The arms race doesn't end, it accelerates. Then there's the question of doctrine. Hypersonic weapons compress decision time. A commander who once had hours to verify a threat may now have minutes or seconds. The temptation to launch before loss becomes stronger. That means command chains must shorten, sensors must be trusted, and diplomacy must operate in a tighter loop. The risk of miscalculation grows with every mile per second gained. The Navy's challenge will be balancing readiness with restraint. A hub that can strike in minutes must also learn to think in milliseconds. Supporters argue the benefits outweigh the risks. A hypersonic armed fleet can deter aggression without needing to station massive forces abroad. Ships based in Hawaii can cover the same targets that once required forward bases in the Philippines or Okinawa. That reduces exposure while preserving reach. It also plays to American strengths: precision manufacturing, satellite guidance, and undersea logistics. In effect, the U.S. is trading mass for velocity. Fewer platforms, faster response. Skeptics see a different story. They warn that the focus on exotic weapons could erode the carrier culture that underpins naval aviation. Fighters provide flexible presence and escalation control. Hypersonic missiles offer only binary outcomes: fire or don't. If everything becomes a potential first strike, diplomacy loses oxygen. And if adversaries mirror the technology, the seas could fill with invisible tripwires where every radar blip looks like the start of a war. Still, history favors adaptation. When aircraft replaced battleships, traditionalists protested too. Yet carriers became the heart of 20th century power projection. Now, as hypersonic weapons rise, carriers may evolve again, perhaps as command nodes for mixed fleets of manned and unmanned systems rather than the primary sword. The Navy's hypersonic hub isn't an obituary for carriers. It's an insurance policy for what comes after them. Economically, the shift also makes sense. Building one Ford-class carrier costs over $13 billion. Arming a flotilla of smaller ships with hypersonic launchers achieves global reach for a fraction of that. Maintenance cycles shrink. Crews are smaller, and political risk, the optics of losing a supercarrier with 5,000 souls aboard, drops dramatically. In deterrence terms, that's a cheaper, safer way to project lethal capability. So what will this look like by 2030? Imagine Pearl Harbor not as a museum of the past, but as a live nerve center of modern warfare. Dry docks lined with stealth destroyers, submarines sliding silently beneath waves, orbital data linking sea, air, and space in one continuous network. If conflict flares in the South China Sea, missiles could leave Hawaii minutes after the order, cross the Pacific in one breath, and end a fight before traditional reinforcements even launch. The Pacific Ocean, the largest body of water on Earth, suddenly feels very small. Yet even as technology tightens distance, strategy still demands patience. The ocean has a way of humbling anyone who believes the future is settled. Weather, maintenance, politics, human judgment, none move at Mach 5. Hypersonic hubs may rewrite the playbook, but the game is still played by people. Commanders will have to relearn what readiness means when speed removes the luxury of time. Here's the takeaway. The U.S. Navy isn't discarding carriers, it's diversifying the arsenal of deterrence. The hypersonic hub in Hawaii represents a shift from visible dominance to invisible reach, from intimidation you can film to capability you can only infer. It signals to allies that America still holds the Pacific's center line, and it warns rivals that distance is no longer safety. As Pearl Harbor transforms again, a century after it first shocked the world, its role returns to what it has always been: the hinge of the Pacific, the place where technology and strategy converge. The ships may look different, the weapons impossibly fast, but the message is familiar. Whoever masters the Pacific's tempo masters its future. This is Steel Horizon Watch, tracking power beyond the horizon. If you value insight over noise, subscribe and join me next time as we uncover how autonomous fleets and undersea drones are redrawing the map beneath the waves. The ocean never sleeps, and neither should your understanding of it.